Hi, welcome to the first inaugural podcast with Shawn's Shield. And the whole idea about this is that you get to come into this arena and just lay out your opinion, your thoughts. Let's discuss, let's talk. I mean, politics, it could be just issues, ideas, current events, whatever. So as the episodes roll, for sure, we're going to have some inspired viewer episodes and questions that you guys are going to have. These are just my thoughts. I do a lot of reading, and I'm sure some of that stuff is going to come out. But today we're just going to talk about the whole idea of entrepreneurship. Not really just in one sitting, but just that idea of taking risk and like what is that all about, and just kind of walk through that. And this is my first episode, so this is a risk as it is. So yeah, write in the comment section, but be nice. Well, welcome, Jasper. Thank you. We're also in my good friend's studio, Jasper Zacharias' studio. If you are looking to do a CD of any sort, any kind of audio recording, or you need a sound technician, he is your man. His link will be in the description below, as all of the info that you are looking for will be down there. And check him out on his website and on his Instagram. And man, he's got some pretty cool projects. And I mean, what else to start from there? Like, I mean, are you working on some new projects right now?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I actually am. A couple of projects, a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, a lot of local artists, which is cool.
Yeah.
Someone has to support local artists.
Yes, they do.
So, different kind of projects. I do a lot of, there's some music, but also a lot of live sound too.
Okay.
So I try to manage both at the same time.
Well, no, him and I have done a couple of events together, and I really enjoy this guy's technique, his skill, and tell us a little bit about how you went from like having a job and kind of doing this on the side as your like side hustle, and this became your hustle. Walk us through that.
All right. Goes a while back. Long story short, I'm a musician. Right. Okay. And I fell in love with sound engineering and like the idea of manipulating sound at like 14 years old.
Okay.
And then I would always like dream about having my studio during class. I would daydream.
Okay.
I was that type of student where I would daydream during class about having my own recording studio and all that. Fast forward, 2012, I went into school for sound engineering.
Okay.
I took a year-long program. It was great. To be honest, it helped me go deeper. But like on this side, I was always like, I would always read about sound engineering. I would like bust my parents' internet deal there with YouTube videos. Man, like I would honestly like my summer vacation before I ever got a job, I would spend like 10 hours a day on YouTube just watching videos about studio and techniques and all that. So I did my year-long program. Okay. And that year-long program really was decisive for me because it helped me basically decide whether or not I wanted to go into live sound engineering or studio engineering.
Okay.
And for me, it was just a confirmation about studio.
Cool.
Like just the idea of manipulating sound and taking your time and really like hearing something in your mind or in your head.
Yeah.
And then just executing it in the studio. For me, that's what I really wanted to do. So I did that for like 4 years on the side.
Okay.
And lately, as of July of this year, actually, 2017, I decided to make the leap into going full-time into the studio. So that would be like this short story. Now, how did I take the decision? It wasn't easy. Like there was never the aha moment, now is the time.
Okay.
It was more of, like with my wife, we were thinking about it for the longest time. Like seriously, for at least like 6 to 8 months, we were thinking about it.
Cool.
Should we? Shouldn't we? And for us, it just made sense to do it now before there's, like real grown-up life commitments.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Oh, okay.
Kids, mortgage,
Oh gosh.
All that amazing stuff
Yeah.
that I still don't have.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, I have kids. There's a baby on the way.
There is a baby on the way,
There
and
is.
you've hidden the gender from everybody.
I have.
And-
Well, I have. I was forced to.
I know, because I know that you don't want you're like you
would.
want to scream it from the mountaintop. You already top of your house right now, just screaming. It is a whatever, right? And you'd be
Whatever
just
it is.
yeah, totally. And you would just be you'd probably be dressed out in the actual color of the gender of the baby right now. If we came here, you'd be like, yep. If it was a boy, you'd be all in blue, and if it was a
is
girl,
why
you'd be
I'm
all in
black.
pink. Yeah, okay, that's why you're in black. You're not letting us know. Huh?
Because you're sneaky. You're sneaky.
I am.
I know you would want to find out.
I
and
would.
find a way around it.
Right, and like before we got the whole studio set up, like your wife like almost made a mistake in the air. She thought she caught herself, and she also had clothing lined up outside on the couch that I did not observe, and I'm surprised. I'm so good at like observation of like these little non-usable details, and anyone's like, "How do you remember that?" And then like the basic stuff, I don't remember any of it. I'm like, "Oh crap," like.
But the important stuff you do.
Oh yeah, these little tidbits, yeah, that I call important. My wife's like, "No, that's not important," but whatever. But yeah, so you guys about how so that's another risk that you guys are taking, right?
That is actually we found out during our vacation time, our anniversary vacation time this year. So it was a pleasant surprise. 3 year into this marriage life.
Okay.
I also already have a son. He's 7 years old.
Yep.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
So the family's growing, but like I mean, I don't know. It just made sense for us to do it now. This maybe sound a little bit weird, but for me it was like just getting into like a financial commitment of like a mortgage or like I wanted to do it before.
Yep.
For many reasons, but the biggest one I think it would be like I didn't want to have any regret. Like 10 years, 15 years down the road, look back and be like, man, I should have done it in 2017.
Yeah.
Now it's like 2035, whatever, like
Totally.
too late.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never really too late, but I think it just felt right. And I had a full-time job at that moment. Nothing to do with the music industry at all. And it was also stealing me away from my family, having to like work this full-time job, 9 to 5. And then, I mean, I wasn't going to let go of the studio. For me, it's like, it was a dream. I was holding on to it as a side hustle. And until so then my wife, I remember, because she's a person that she needs a lot of security, like she needs to be sure what's gonna happen, need to plan things out. I'm more of an artist, so
I hear you
go with the flow, whatever happens. And I remember we went for a walk one day and she just looked at me and she's like, all right, now is the time, go for it. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, go for it. It was like take it or leave it kind of thing, like you have 20 minutes right now. Okay. Take it or leave it. If not, I'm going to change my mind.
She took you to the cliff and said, jump. And if you don't jump right now, that's the last time you get to see this place.
That's the last chance you have to jump.
Come on.
So I did. Like the next day or whatever, like, I talked to my boss and, this is the reason why. And so it's been what? 4 or 5 months?
Okay, yeah.
It's a journey already.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine.
Like, how can I say this? I believe that being an entrepreneur or like starting your own business is not for everybody. And the reality is that right now it's cool.
Right. Lots of people are just doing it. Just say, right. Like how many t-shirt companies you see start up and then just like and they start, I have this big idea. I've been noticing that so much. Like I talk to young guys or young people and they're like, yeah, they have this great idea. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. It is such a great idea. It's the $1 million idea. And then they like first they start walking it out and then it's like, it's difficult and then they just stop and you're
it is difficult. Like it's not, it's if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Totally. Right.
Like it's difficult. And something I've been noticing, and I was actually talking about this with my wife last week. I was like, I had to come to peace with this is going to take time. Like our generations, like, I'm sorry, my generation. I don't know if we're in the same generation.
Get out of here.
But, like everything's about go,
yeah,
like,
totally.
as quick as possible. Like, and honestly, you go on Instagram and everybody, like, our age or younger, I mean, they're all about like fancy cars. And so it's easy to like compare yourself to them. But is it true? Is the car really theirs or rented? Anyways.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
You're taking a picture beside a car. You suggest the way you take the picture, like suggests that you're the owner of that car, but you're totally not. And then like if you were to like if you could actually like back up the scene, you'd see like the owner being like, "What are you? Hey, Get away from my car.
Yeah, or the owner like starting to run after you. Like, take a picture. But the reality is that it seems easy to be an entrepreneur, and I don't have this figured out. I mean, I'm starting in this, you know.
Yeah.
But how can I say this? You know, like the risk, I guess, or the uncertainty of what's going to happen kind of fuels me a little bit.
Yep.
But at the same time, knowing that I'm in the right spot, knowing that I'm doing the right thing, knowing that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Because, I mean, and once again, there's a baby coming. It'd be easy for me to say, you know what, whatever. It's a childhood dream. Let's get serious about it. About like a serious income and all that. And I'm not saying like take a risk. Like to go back to your question or the topic, right? Taking risks. I'm not saying take an irresponsible risk either. You know, like it wasn't something. You know, I've been thinking about this since I'm 14 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't a risk. Like all of a sudden, I woke up a morning and okay, let's do this. You know, and like I mentioned, we were talking about it seriously with my wife for like a while now. Yeah. So risk has to be scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, risk has to kick you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be irresponsible either. Yeah. You know?
I remember that. It's funny you say that. I got this story from one of my childhood. We used to go to this cliff because they were digging out this quarry. And at this quarry, this water started to inflow. So there was like all this super fresh water that you could literally jump in and drink the water you were jumping in, which is kind of cool, right? And we used to and the cliffs are humongous. Like, I mean, like 40 and 60 feet. Like these are giant cliffs, right? That they were digging out. And one day we were going to run and jump off these cliffs, and as we're running out, there's this like sign that says "Do not jump." And you know, like if I take that and put it in someone's life, you got to look at those road signs sometimes. Those signs that say "Don't jump," right? But I'm like, I've seen so many people jump off this. I myself have jumped off of this, but now all of a sudden there's a sign there. It's like a new sign. It was never there before, and so like running, and you know, I just stopped. I said, guys, stop! Like let's stop. And, you know, you're about to jump off a big cliff. Someone says stop. You stop. You know. You should stop, right?
Exactly.
And then we got to the edge of the cliff, and I just throw a rock off, and you could see water at the bottom, and you throw the rock off, and it goes down into the water, and it like bounces. And I'm like, if we had jumped, there would have been 4 dead people, right? Just splattered, just splat.
Yeah.
And like all of us are just like, oh my gosh, I almost just killed myself. Like you said, don't take risk unnecessarily. Like risk is risk. But you have to, it's like calculate a risk. It kind of means like, it's like a double word, but I see what you're saying, right? Like take risk, knowing that thing that you've been thinking about for so long. And it's like, okay, you've let time kind of like do its thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because the thing is, what I like about that is in that waiting process, and if you're still thinking about it, when you do it, like, are you going to regret it, right?
Exactly. And
like, you know, like me, I got tattoos, right? Yeah. And I put my tattoo, the writing of my tattoo, away for like 2 years. And I said, was it 2 years or 1 year? I'm not sure, but it was a while. Actually, I think it was longer than that because at the time I hadn't even gone to university yet, and I had thought about it. So I was like, and I had just come out of the drug dealing world, right? Gotcha. So you'd think I would get it during that time, but I didn't. I was in university, and I was like, you know, okay, if I'm still thinking about this, then like in a year, then I'm okay. Yeah. Then I'll get it. Cause then I'm not just moving it. Cause I remember one time I wanted a tattoo and it was going to be like a snowboarder and he was going to have this like thing in his hand saying truth. Dude, and I was going to put that on my back. Imagine I put that on my back.
Be amazing.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the artwork was amazing. The guy who did it was amazing, but could you imagine I put that on my back? Oh, I'd been an idiot. But, but I got these tattoos, right? And they're so meaningful. I don't regret the tattoos ever.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not like, oh, I shouldn't have got that. Mm-hmm. I don't look at pictures where I don't have my tattoo and be like, oh, well, you know, see.
I missed that, yeah.
Like, no, I got these for a reason with something else, and I was committed to it, right? Like, you know, you're talking about being an entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur at one time, and you could say I'm still kind of at it at the same time right now, right? But I remember walking, like, okay, just deciding and declaring that I was going to do my own business, right? I started a fitness business, and it worked, right? And I hit bumps. Obviously, like everybody hits bumps, right? I was renting a space from somebody, and they didn't like it because my clientele started growing, and actually some of their clients started coming to me, and you know, that kind of thing. And then I wasn't serving his mission, which I get. I wasn't serving his mission, right? I was supposed to rent a space, and that was it. But then I ended up getting kind of intermingled and running some classes, and then people wanted to work, you know, whatever.
Gotcha.
And so I moved on to another space, and then I had to like change it was all this new stuff, and then I only had a limited time space, and so like the variables changed, but the idea of what I was doing didn't change, and I loved every minute of what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
But then when you get to those hard moments, like I'm sure you've already experienced some hard moments, and then some people probably walking over you and those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
but the dream or the idea, the risk has to be greater than somebody walking over you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you have to keep your eyes on the end game, not the process. The process is important, but the process is just you have to go through it to get to the end game. So, like, how can I say this? It doesn't have to, you don't have to be into, or you don't have to take a risk in this type of situation, like a career or dream or whatever. Short term. It has to be long term. Well, this is what I think. I mean, I'm still discovering it, right? But like, I'm not doing the studio just to to do 2-3 clients or to do 2-3 projects. I'm doing it for like, I want to do this until I can't anymore. So when you keep your eyes on the long game, on the end result, on the trophy, I guess, everything else seems, like it seems like it makes part of the process. And makes part of the game of getting there. So then it just gets easier in a sense. Like, and for example, okay, like I haven't even talked to you about this, but right now I'm negotiating a contract about doing something that has to do with my business, but it'd be like an outsourcing kind of thing. Like I'd be working for another company as a sound engineer for like X amount of time. It would take me out of my studio. But at the same time, you also have to be practical. And there's seasons, I guess, while you're building your dream where you have to get super practical. There's seasons, I guess, that it's all about the risk. And like, even if I don't know if I'm going to have money tomorrow that's going to come in or at the end of the month, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do it. But there's seasons in your life that you have to be practical. And so this represents that it's probably going to be a more of a stable job for a while. It has to do with sound engineering. Like, it has to do with it. But it's not my full-on dream of like working in my studio 80 hours a week. And like, so sometimes you just have to find ways of getting creative. And it's more like of a standby moment, like I'm going to do that for X amount of time, but that's going to enable me to continue doing what I want to do. So it's like, I guess, pit stops, rest stops, where, and I'm still going to continue doing my studio on the side, but like for, 6 months or whatever, I'm going to be probably taking up this contract. But I know that this contract is going to get me to get to know people that are going to help me afterwards, going to get me to, even like financially, because reality, we're in North America. You need money to do what you want to do, right? It's the reality. Partnership or not, from your own wallet or not, you need the money. So and also I think that the way I see it, and I'm not saying that everyone should do it this way, but I'm not in this for the money either. Some people, they want to start businesses because it's a shortcut to make a lot of money, to become a millionaire at 30 or whatever, but that's not what I wanted. I'm not in it for the game. If I was in it for the game, I'd be in the wrong business.
Well, you know what, and I'm going to throw something back at you. I think that people put this idea of like, let's be a millionaire. And like, when you get there, like, well, what does that mean? Like, cause it's the process to becoming a millionaire is pretty simple. Get a job, lower your expenses,
be smart
and
about
save.
it.
That's all you do. Save money, invest it, and lower your expenses. If you do that, you could become a millionaire. Get a high paying job. How do you do that? Well, you get yourself educated into a field that produces high, then there you go. You become a millionaire. But I know, we hear time and time again, these millionaires are not happy. They're not satisfied. Why? Because their end game is money, and money doesn't give you a hug back. It doesn't make you feel warm inside, all those things, right?
Exactly.
Now, I believe this thing, and it's like people, I train, example, right? I train. Now, I don't train to get jacked and ripped. People are like, what? But like, as a result of that, though, I get jacked and I get ripped.
It's a byproduct.
And I prefer to think of things as byproducts. So if I work hard at what I do, what are the byproducts that come out of this? If you work hard, you will get money. It's a simple thing, right? If you take a risk and you work at it hard, the result is going to be, for the most part, if you don't have the talent, we can talk about that later or whatever. But if you have the talent, you're taking the risk in it, often, you start to produce good things, and those things like incur finances. They just do.
Exactly.
Right. And so I kind of get, irks that people are like, well, I want to be a millionaire. Well, why? Why do you want to be a millionaire? What do you want to? Well, because you want to buy a beer. That's what you want? You want to buy a drink? You want a boat? Like what do you want?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and why do you want that? Now, like you can buy stuff, but at the end of the day, the stuff's not going to hug you. Stuff's not going to show up at your funeral.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think as you work harder, you can make $1 million. But that's not going to stop you. It's just like when you don't have them. That's the whole idea. It's like kind of like a mirror thing, like it's or reciprocal. Like or one way, if I didn't have the money, I'd still do it. If I didn't have the money, I would do what I was going to do, but I just now have more firepower to do the exact same thing I was going to do. Right?
Exactly.
So people ask me, Shawn, how do you become a motivational speaker? I'm like, I just said it, and I said that's what I was, and I just started walking it out, whatever that meant.
And I think it's a lot of it is also DNA. Up to a certain point.
Yep.
I mean, you're a motivational speaker. Could I be? We don't have the same temper. Maybe I could for some certain subject or whatever. But like a lot of people want to become a motivational speaker because it also looks cool. But you have it, which you talk about talent, right? So like quickly, I mean, a lot of people want to do things without having the talent because it would be cool.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool.
Right.
Because I don't know the status or whatever. But if you don't have the talent, there's having the talent and there's also working to get it better. Right. Because you have the talent, you have the personality, but if you wouldn't work on being structured when you speak, if you wouldn't work on, if you would just improv or just whatever if you don't work at it, enunciation, a lot of things.
I know, and I was talking to a guy the other day. Like it's the same like with musicians or any field, take any field you have, like you want to be, okay. And I ask you this question. This is the first question I ask any person saying, they're about to like go into the new frontier of their life. Yeah. I said, okay, name me and it was actually brought to my attention by my friend Thomas, and he'll be in the description because he's a marketing guy. His name's Godspeed, and he is also a crazy entrepreneur. You got to check his stuff out. Absolutely amazing. Now, he said to me, and I'm a drummer, right? Yeah. They don't know this, but you know this. And when I started drumming again in university, my grandfather died, and I got a little bit of inheritance, so I bought a drum kit. And I still have the drum kit, and I will never let it go because it's my grandpa who bought it for me. Awesome. And he's a war veteran. Yes. And so he fought for liberty, freedom, and risk taking. And so my friend Thomas said, Shawn, name me 5 drummers and not one that I've shown you. I was like, And I'm like, and he's like, you want to be a good drummer, but you don't know 5 good drummers. He's like, okay, fine. Give me 3 good drummers. And it was just bird sounds. Like, I got nothing.
And you really wanted to
I wanted to be a good drummer, right? And it's like, but I didn't know. And I was like, that challenged me. Like that simple act, that simple question challenged me. Am I really committed to this? If I wanted to know, like, okay, these are the 5 best, sound recording studios. These are them. And why are they that way? Boom. And so like this, when I became a motivational speaker, I went and started looking at guys who spoke and what guys did I like? Why did I like them? And here
inspired you.
And exactly. Right. So there's a guy named David Rubin. I just like the way he does his podcast. There's a guy named Jordan Peterson. I just like the way he brings out information. I like Dennis Prager. And these are all old guys. I'm sorry. They're not young whippersnappers. I guess Dave Rubin is a little younger, but these other guys are a little older. And
you lost me, man.
Yeah, I know. I did.
But it's fine.
But my point being is that these I like to look up to the older guys a little bit just because I'm like they've been through the grinder.
Yeah.
They made it through, right? I'm not looking at somebody who's like, hey, I'm just getting in right now. I'm like, well, I'm happy for you. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, so hold on.
Life coach at 22 years old.
Totally right. 22. You're a life coach. Okay. For who?
How many kids? Oh, okay.
Okay, totally. Okay. You've had a job for a week and you're already ready to quit because the owner, what? So you have no idea about commitment? Yeah, totally, whatever, right? But I look at that and I said, okay, Thomas said that to me, and it's every time I think of an idea, who are the 5 best? Who are they? Do you know them? Because if you don't know them, then you don't know, right?
Yeah, so exactly. Because I think that knowing who the 5 best are, like you mentioned, it's about are you serious or not, or not about what you want to do. But it's also like it gives you kind of an idea what you want to reach. Yeah, all of them combined, and because when you, how can I say this? Let's say you're talking about Dave, and you get interested in this person, you start to study their path, you start to study their journey. And for me, that was a good indicator because there's this guy that I like a lot, sound engineer. His name is Fab Dupont. He's based out of New York. He's worked with crazy people. But he did like a podcast like this not too long ago, and he was talking about how he started, and a lot of it is because it's not even recording anymore.
Oh, we do. We still have this guy going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're okay.
All right,
you can go start that one up if you want to go start that back up again.
Okay. I'll just finish this.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is what I'm doing right now. Like a lot of like free stuff that he did that I've done for a while now. I'm a little bit more selective, but I still do free work, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit more selective about with who and why and all that. And just working your face off and not thinking about money. Like a lot of these people, what they have in common, at least in the audio world, it's not about the money. But if you're good at what you do and you do it long enough, money comes to you. Like, like it's a byproduct. But none of them do it for money. And for me, that was an eye opener because I had to ask myself the question. Like, I remember my wife telling me, going back to like, okay, go ahead, do it. And that evening, I actually had to think about it. I asked myself the question, why do I want to do this? Okay, now that it's fine and now that we calculated everything and okay, it's a good time to do it. Now that I have the green light, all of a sudden I was like, okay, but why? Like, I think I never really asked myself the question. And then it made sense for me. It's going to sound very cliche, but for me, it's for the music. It's because of the music. It's not because of the gear. It's not because of the shiny microphones. It's the music for me. And other reasons, right? But I think that has a lot to do also with, are you serious or not? And if it's going to help you, like, if it's going to help you hold on to that risk. It's the reason why. Is it and also like you were talking about money, right? You said someone wants to be a millionaire, they get up to $1 million, and then what? So I think there's different short-term goals, long-term goals, but it's not. And there's no right or wrong answer to take a risk, and there's never a right time. I'm gonna turn that back on.
Do your thing. No, and I totally get that, right? It was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking about the seduction of money. Where that becomes your greatest like prison, right? Becomes this like idea, like you get there and you get this money and he's an affluent guy, but it's so dangerous because then you're just that becomes your goal. So you're not pursuing your actual goals, right? Yeah. So you become this money monger and that's it. And then the world produces this thing saying like if you have money you will be happy, and I like this what one guy says. He said. He's like, money doesn't make you happy. It can just make you comfortable while you're miserable.
I like that.
And so if you don't have a purpose for what you're doing, it's like it's the same problem with like obesity. You have too much food and you're not doing anything. You just sit down and do nothing anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you get unhealthy, and when more problems come, you get even more unhealthier because you have no defense, right? I'm like, I think to myself, if you could, and I'm not like totally for or against CrossFit, okay, but for whatever reason, but if you could manage your money, like if you could manage your inflow and outflow like a CrossFit person essentially would, your money would be in shape. Gotcha. Like you would be giving out money, and then you would be receiving money, right? You're kind of like pushing, bringing it back in, and I think that with my risk, like what you do, like there's events I do that are totally pro bono, right? And those are tough, especially when you got kids on the way, kid there, mortgage, no mortgage, starting up, got no food, whatever. But you got to weigh out the pros and the cons, and then it's really about, are you called? Because what the joke is as soon as I get on stage, I forget all of those things. Right. I don't even remember any of it. Like, and it goes by so fast.
Dude, I get into the zone when I'm in the studio. Like, I don't even recognize myself. Yeah. When I'm in the studio, I'm just like, whoa. And sometimes like I come out with ideas, like we're arranging a song. And we should do this, we should do that. And at the end, it sounds great. And like when the client leaves and whatever, I just sit down. I'm like, what happened? Where did that come out? But anyway, like when you're doing what you're supposed to do, things just happen. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I think when you're taking those risks and stuff like that, I think that your endorphins are going up, right? You're getting all that stuff is releasing. Those chemicals in your brain are releasing, and it's like because you're living out your dream, and so you're living out what I wouldn't call it your dream because I don't believe. Like your dream is where you're supposed to go. I believe it's your calling, like what you're designed to do. And some people like, if you're called to be a plumber, be a plumber. Like, it's not a bad deal. Like, I know a young guy, okay, when I was younger, a lot younger, he just decided to be a plumber. And he started doing these things called steam fittings. And it's like you work under the city, basically.
Okay.
And in a year, goes from being his own single employee to having 7 employees and then having 30 employees. And not because he was trying to, but because he was the guy who could do that. And he was already taking big vacations and just had more money than you could shake a fist at. And all because he was a plumber. Now you tell me that this guy's not called to do what he's doing. He didn't take a risk. He went and said, I'm going to be a plumber. Yeah. That's totally countercultural to what everyone's like, hey, get on Instagram, get on, you need your social media. Yeah, okay, it does work, you know, to a degree. But if you don't put work in, if you don't put the time in, no matter how much it's not going to result in anything. Like, you know, I love someone, I have this new idea, and they start off on this idea and then they stop 3 weeks later. Yeah. That makes no sense.
So often. Like
I challenged myself over the last year to do this motivational video thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it was so hard. And it was like, all I had to do is
every week kind of thing.
Yeah, and I had to produce a minute of content, just 1 minute of content. I mean, it's different than just kind of like running content, but like, you know, scripted and whatever, right? I have to think it out, think it through, and then try and nail it.
Good.
Yeah, totally, right? And so I said, you know what, we're gonna do this 52 videos a year. I think it was like 54 or 5. I think I did, and I said, okay, my whole goal was if I can do that, then I can produce content. On a regular basis, right? Here's a low risk. My family doesn't need to be, it's not going to take away from my family just too much, really.
Exactly.
I can do this all on my phone. And can I be consistent in it? Like, I think when you take your risk, you have to be consistent in taking your risk, right? Because the first time you jump off of something, let's say a diving board, you're all over the place. And you just like hope to hit the water and not do a belly flop, right? Exactly. Really, that's the whole idea, because that's all you're thinking about when you're jumping off.
Exactly.
But then you take your first jump and then you do a cannonball and you time it up and your body gets used to that adjustment. Then you're like, hey, maybe I'll do a flip. Yeah. And you might smack yourself, but you're like, you know what? I've already taken a couple of these jumps already. Now, if I just augment this a little bit, I'll be successful in what I just did.
You know what to expect already.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're kind of like, okay, now I've taken this, boom. And then obviously you take a jump with a little more power. But since you've already done a couple of flips before now to this point, you know how to like either slow up your rotation or speed up your rotation, whatever you need, right? And I think that's all about like when we take risk. Are you doing those things? I have to say, on a general note, most people don't do that. They say something, but they don't walk it out.
You know that phrase, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I know it's so cliche, so old school, but it's the truth, right? Yeah. Someone tell, like, my wife is that way. She's like Shawn, like, and I'm good with words, right? Like that's what I do, right? But my wife loves it more even when I say nice things. Like, there's a poem on our fridge right now that I wrote, to her, and it's not even like some like wicked ballad. It's like, I think it says like, roses are red, violets are blue. I wrote this poem because I was thinking of you. And this thing is crumpled up because the kids keep pulling it off my kids keep pulling it off the fridge, but it's still there. Yeah. Right. And I know that means something to her because it's an action, right? It's still my words, but it's an action. Yeah. I do the dishes every day and I hate dishes. Like, I hate them. Dude. I wake up early to shovel the snow so my wife can back her car out and get to work because she leaves before I do. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. I take it as a workout now because you got to sneak them in now when you have kids, right? But those things are like work and actions, right? They speak louder than words, right? Those things confirm to my wife that I love her. Exactly. Right? And then like when it comes to like, me doing the speaking thing, and I was telling you earlier before we started recording this, that I got to some point and I was like, why am I even doing this? Yeah. Like, should I even be doing this? And like, I'm coming up on, I think, like actively pursuing it, probably about 3 years now, 4 years. I've been doing this for probably I've been doing it for probably about almost 10 years now. Whoa. Which is crazy to think. But like, okay, I'm for real. Yeah. It's been almost 4. And then I put a website out, I think maybe 2 to 3 years ago. And that just, I remember. Right. And I haven't even shared it like crazy because I don't think it's ready yet. Because I got other projects that are coming a part of that kind of like, okay, here is the product. Mm-hmm. But I put it out. I didn't wait. I just put it together and it's there. And it's funny is I thought people check me out. They do those things, right? And now that we get to that, I'm at this spot. I'm like, I was telling you the other day, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe that's not like, I'd love to do it. Like, I would love to do this. I would love to be just only doing that. Yeah. And I check my email and I got all these couple new requests. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, I'm going to be going there? No way. Yeah. Like work through the negotiations and it'll be on my website later. Nice. I have to clean it up because I haven't taken off the old dates yet. Gotcha. But I put them all in. My intern, Glenn, in the description, needs to hurry up and get my resume done. He's supposed to like take that information down and say, put all our details on.
It's a good hack though, interns.
It is.
Noted.
It is. It's a great hack. It's a good life hack. Any interns that are looking for a studio to work at, right here. And again, down there is the link. He doesn't have an application form to intern, but you can just message him on Instagram or on Facebook if you can find him, which you should because it'll be in the description. Do it. It's going to be life-changing.
A lot of coffee has to be made. Anyways.
Yes, you see, it's kind of an ethnic thing. He really likes, no, I'm not going to say that. He just likes coffee. And I can't drink, I can only drink 2 coffees a day and it has to be half caffeine each.
Yeah, like
I'm way too much energy.
I went down because I used to have a desk job, like an insurance job. And at some point, I think I was up to like 4 coffees a day.
Wow. How do you, like your brain must have just been
for like 2 weeks. After that, I just couldn't. And now I'm down to like 1 coffee a day.
Cool. That's anyway. Good. Yeah, no. But so, okay, a couple more questions and then we'll kind of wrap her up here. So you said something in the beginning, like, and you kind of said it like, you're never too late to take a risk, but you kind of said it half-heartedly. And that's not a shot. It's just kind of like, do you believe that can somebody like take a risk later in life?
Definitely. I just believe that the amount or the results won't be the same if you start at 50 than if you start at 20. But no, I don't think it's ever too late. Why would it be too late? And the reality is that I think that we put a pressure upon ourselves, like artificial pressure. Like, oh man, I'm 20, I'm 30, I should start this. But when you think about it, like 80 years on this earth, like average 80, 85, 90, whatever. That's a long time. Like honestly, when you think about it, it depends what you want to do. There's certain things that like the market or there's a limit. Like if you want to be an athlete at 41, it's maybe a little bit too late. Yeah. If you want to start the NFL right now, like I don't want to say your age, but it's too late. But but to start a business, to start just living your dream, whatever that is, like the majority of it, it's not too late. Like why would it be too late? Unless there's any health issues, but a lot. There's something else also that I've been, when talking with people around me, and I've been also a slave of that, and I'm trying to work through that. But a lot of times we won't take the risk, or we're gonna think it's too late because people around us tell us that it's too late. Or there's like these 2-3 key people around you, parents, friends, spouse, whatever, that tell you that it's too late. So then it weighs on you, and then you think it's too late. But honestly, why would it be too late? Right.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't think it'd ever be too late. But I like to say, if you're young, like just take the risk now. Like, what do you have to lose? If mom and dad and your parents are home, okay, and you got food, you got a roof over your head.
Dude, I would do anything. I don't regret my life right now. I love my wife and my kids. But if I could go back to when I was living with my parents.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
The things I could accomplish at that time. If I had the brain that I have now.
Exactly.
Right. If you're young and you're listening to this, just get to it. There's a young man I'm working with, and maybe I'll put it in the description, but he started to think about doing his own fishing show. Okay.
Nice.
And so we're kind of walking that out. I'm asking him to do his plan and stuff. And I'm like, there's no risk for you right now. You don't have children. You've got something to fall back onto, and what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work, and you have the rest of your life to work a job at. Whereas if you're working a job and then you take that risk and you lose your job, and then you're left with your risk, and your risk doesn't pay you back at least for 4 or 5 years or something. Let's say that's gonna be a tough walk.
Honestly, I'm 26 right now. Okay, for the next 5 years of my life, I could do everything wrong, and end up closing my studio in 5 years at 31.
Yeah.
And I'd still have plenty of time to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like it's never too late.
Yeah, totally.
To be honest.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You kind of already somewhat answered them, but I'm going to ask them a little more pointed. So what are your keys what do you like when someone says to you, I want to take the plunge into the risk or whatever, being in this case, an entrepreneur, but let's say you're going back to school, whatever, it doesn't matter. What is how do you walk that out in your head? So you thought about it. What are the marking stones in your life that say, okay, you know what? Let's do this.
That's a good question. Number one, I think what you talked about it at the beginning, like after 2 weeks, is it still an idea or not? So number one, I just want to make sure that it's a real passion or a real thing I want to do. Mm-hmm. Number two, like you do have to calculate the risk, you know, but to what extent, you know, so you do have to calculate the risk. Like what's the worst case scenario that would happen? So you do take that into account, to be honest. Let's say, I don't know, you have a house and worst case scenario is that you end up losing your house. Maybe it's not the best risk. I'm not saying it's not the right decision, but maybe it's not the right time, you know, financially and all that. And after that, honestly, and this is going to sound so cliche, but it's so true. Like, dream big, but start small. You think I'm happy with like where I'm at right now? Like, let's say my studio, I'm grateful.
That's key.
But I'm not happy where I am. I'm starting small. I'm starting where I am. Eventually, you know, and so a lot of people, they want to start super big to impress who. And I had this misconception when I started. Like in the studio, I needed to have this microphone. I needed to have this gear. So when clients come in, I impress them. They're like, oh, this looks like a real studio or like a real commercial studio that you see on TV or whatever. But the reality is that I got to learn. And talking to a couple of people, this summer I went to Nashville and I had the privilege to meet a couple of producers and that are in the Nashville scene. And all of them, what they told me is people are going to work for you for who you are, not because of what you do. They told me you could be like this, like you could not be in the A-list of music producers because of the products or because of how it sounds. But if you're honest and if you're fun to work with, people are going to come back. So for me, it's starting small, but aiming at what counts. You know?
Yeah.
Like working on your craft, working on what you do, be the best of what you do, but also don't worry about like, I mean, I'm talking for what I do, but let's say motivational speaker. I don't know, like what would it be something that people would worry about at first, but in reality, it doesn't matter.
Well, for me,
like
I would
numbers,
say, numbers. That's a thing, right? And my philosophy, and I learned this one early, was you speak to one like you speak to 10,000, and you speak to 10,000 like you speak to one. Because if that's the case, then you never change no matter the audience. Like you're always the same. And you've heard me talk before, you've heard me speak, and I don't change. I'm the same guy whether the group is gigantic or the group is small.
Yeah.
Like I don't change. Obviously, some days you're feeling the juice, and some days you're not feeling the juice. But either way, the feeling the juice or not feeling the juice is not based on the numbers.
Exactly.
Right. And yeah, like, I mean, even like today, our podcast, you know, I wanted to have a desk, I wanted to have all these microphones, an arm, everything like this. But then when I look at it and I boil it down, I'm like, what is it really? What does it all come down to really? Right.
Exactly.
So, and I said to you, you know, you're like, Shawn, well, we don't have a table and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, let's just start where we start. Right.
Yeah.
And then progress. Like that's the whole idea, right? You start where you start, be totally content with where you are, work at it, get the best that you can get at it before you go to the next. Because you know what happens, right? You get to the next level and you're not ready for the next level because you haven't figured out all what's at the level you're at, right? So then you see that with artists that like got great voices and they have it and then they get taken for a loop, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, and then it's not until like 4 or 5 years later they figure out, oh, whoa. And I said, if only I had figured that out before, then I wouldn't have to walk this out, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is the place, this place of struggle is essential in you blossoming. It's like the key ingredient to becoming like hyper successful. Like I think that everybody, they have these key moments in their life where things change drastically, but it's because of the struggle, right? I mean, we all love those stories. You like the guy's like, he's bottom dweller and he's playing his guitar and he's busking for money and somebody hears that ear, right?
Exactly.
But there's all this work that's gone into that person before they even get there. And then finally there's that moment of and they get there, but all that study, all that stuff, boom, gets like, I mean, when I started like doing, you know, I was like researching, well, how much do people get paid?
Yeah.
Like what is the going rate? How do I ask? Or where's my starting point?
And it's good to know those things.
Yeah. And then like, you're like, okay, do I charge more? Do I charge less? Do I ask for more? Do I ask for less? Like, and then, like you said, you weigh out the balance. Who is this for? Is this for somebody? Like, is this going to lead to something else if I don't think it's, or do they have the capacity or right, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Totally. And I appreciate your tenderness and your honesty. So check him out. This is Jasper Zacharias. I keep messing his name. I want to say Jasper, but it's Jesper. How do you say it?
Jesper. So
Jesper.
Jes.
There's no A. There's just no A. There's the E. And I know he's such a polite guy that every time when I call him and I mess his name up, even when I'm like focusing when I call you, like say it right. I'm like, hey, and then I say it wrong. Check his stuff out.
I've learned to pick my battles, man.
Okay. So we'll be back. I'm hopefully in 2 weeks you'll be able to hear some more stuff. If not, it's happening up faster. I'm not sure. We'll see how this all rolls out. Nice. It's been Shawn Shield. We're signing out. I can't believe we actually got this done. This is amazing. So excited right now, dude. You have no idea. See ya.